The Republicans kicked off their party convention on Monday in Charlotte, North Carolina, where the thrust was on why Trump should get 4 more years. While President Trump accepted his nomination by the party and is now the official candidate for the Republicans with Mike Pence as running mate, there was a focus not just on his achievements in the past 4 years and why he should be re-elected, but also on why Joe Biden should not be elected, or as Trump calls him, Sleepy Joe.
Making a pathetic bid to save Sleepy Joe Biden. And you know what? I'd love to run against him, to be honest. Anybody like that, if you can't beat him in a debate, you got a big problem, folks. Big. You can't beat him in a debate, you can't be president.
Come on, Republicans. One Republican and all the...
Amid protests outside the convention center, a partly virtual, partly in-person extravaganza was held, studded with Trump family members, featuring the president himself speaking every night and others spread across 4 days. Melania Trump's speech was quite mature and calming.
In my husband, you have a president who will not stop fighting for you and your families. I see how hard he works each day and night, and despite the unprecedented attacks from the media and opposition, he will not give up. In fact, if you tell him he cannot be done, he just works harder.
But it was Donald Trump Jr.'s girlfriend whose appearance got the town talking.
Ladies and gentlemen, leaders and fighters for freedom and liberty and the American dream, the best is yet to come.
Her fiery speech had become a shouting fest, inspiring a new challenge on social media. The Guilfoyle Challenge, which compares her yelling into the empty arena to one of their own. But in all this high-voltage drama, the pitch and the vitriol, there was something for everybody. Speaking of the Indian community, like the Democrats, the Republicans also have a full-fledged strategy to woo every segment of the Indian American community, using every method possible, including religion.
I am a big fan of Hindu and I am a big fan of India. Big fan.
Hindu, Muslim, Sikh aside, last week, Republicans launched 4 new coalitions to woo Indian Americans, specifically targeting Hindus, Sikhs and Muslims in separate groups. Hindu voices for Trump, Sikhs for Trump and Muslim voices for Trump. The purpose? To fight against the socialist agenda of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, said the campaign. Seema Sirohi joins us from Washington, D.C. to explain how this is not a new phenomenon, although it has gained more importance as compared to previous elections.
Indian American voters in this U.S. election are no longer a religious monolith. They are being wooed as Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, and Jains. And this is a relatively new phenomenon. It started in 2016 when an industrialist called Shali Kumar from the Chicago area launched the Republican Hindu Coalition. He got candidate Donald Trump to come and attend a rally.
Okay, so Seema, explain to us, why is this actually happening?
It's because religious identities have become sharpened and more important in this election. And in battleground states, Indian American vote could make all the difference. Majority of Indian Americans are Hindus, said to be about 80%. So it's no surprise that political parties have sharpened their game and their strategies, and they're appealing to each segment separately.
The outreach is evident. From having Nikki Haley as a star speaker to having an Indian in a group of foreigners who were given citizenship personally by President Trump during the convention, the RNC left no stone unturned.
America rejoices as we welcome 5 absolutely incredible new members into our great American family. You are now fellow citizens of the greatest nation on the face of God's earth. Congratulations. Great going.
attacks on workers.
It was Haley who again was music to the ears amid all the vitriol. She gave a good partisan speech without being a Trumpina. A perfect blend of old-style republicanism and the new necessities because of the changing color of America. Also, reminding the constituents of her all-Indian roots.
I am the proud daughter of Indian immigrants. They came to America and settled in a small southern town. My father wore a turban. My mother wore a sari. I was a brown girl in a black and white world. And of course we value and respect every black life.
No sooner had she finished speaking, there was a buzz about Haley in 2024 as a presidential candidate. While the RNC officially nominated President Trump as the Republican candidate and Mike Pence as his running mate, there is no doubt that the future of US politics will have a lot of brown and who knows, maybe even a president in the next elections. Woman, brown, Indian. Many a glass ceiling could be broken, and how. Another big story that we're tracking here on World Today. India has been persistent in its stand that Pakistan continues to harbor terrorists, particularly those that have worked against India. One name that has done the rounds for years is Dawood Ibrahim's. In a recent list that was issued by Pakistan, putting out UNSC list of proscribed terrorists, Dawood Ibrahim's name figured with his address in Pakistan. But Pakistan continues to deny his presence in its territory, something that the international community will have to take note of ahead of the FATF plenary. Here's a report.
Pakistan has done what it does best, hide its role as a terror haven. After a big admission on sheltering fugitive terrorist Dawood Ibrahim, Islamabad has done a stunning U-turn. Just 5 hours admitting to Dawood's hideout in Karachi's Clifton, Pakistan now denies the presence of India's most wanted terrorist Dawood Ibrahim on its soil. Pakistan's foreign ministry issuing a clarification saying Dawood's name is not mentioned in its national terror list, adding that it merely quoted the UN list of terrorists, categorically denying Dawood is living on its soil, even calling media reports baseless.
After putting out the UNSC list of terrorists, which includes Dawood Ibrahim, Pakistan yet again in denial. Not the first time that Pakistan is denying Dawood Ibrahim's presence in Pakistan, but the details of the UNSC list clearly provide his addresses that are all in Pakistan. Pakistan talks about acting, but when it comes to really freezing assets, we've seen that nothing has been done to Dawood's properties in Pakistan.
Pakistan may be in denial, but India today has already exposed Pakistan's lie way back in 2011. Dawood's den was caught on India Today's cameras for the first and only time ever.
This house on the left side that you see is the house of Dawood Ibrahim at house number 57. This is the White House, known as the White House in the area. This is the house which has high walls. This is right on the main road of the main high security area in Karachi. This is on the main road of 70 Clifton in the Karachi's most posh area, where normally all the places are on the names of foreign consulates or the different entities.
Pakistan's insincerity stands exposed with the fact that neither Dawood Ibrahim nor Mumbai terror attack mastermind Zakiur Rahman Lakhvi are listed on Pakistan's national terror list. But Masood Azhar, whose terror role is denied by Islamabad, figures on the list. Pakistan's latest eyewash on terror is aimed at surviving a possible FATF blacklist in September. Pakistan needs 15 votes in the 37-member FATF to be off the grey list, in which it currently figures. It also needs backing from only 4 members to escape the blacklist. Sources say it has the support of Turkey, Malaysia, China and Hong Kong.
ये तमाशे तो पाकिस्तान पहले भी कर चुका है. जब फाइनेंशियल एक्शन टास्क फोर्स की मीटिंग आने को होती है तो कुछ ऐसे एक्शन ले लेता है, लेकिन उसके बाद उसको फॉलो अप नहीं करता जब तक वो दोबारा टास्क फोर्स नहीं आ जाती।
कि दाऊद इब्राहिम उसके पास है, तुरंत दाऊद इब्राहिम को भारत को सौंपे पाकिस्तान, और पूरे दुनिया को पाकिस्तान को आतंकवादी देश मान लेना चाहिए।
Dawood Ibrahim is India's most wanted UN-designated terrorist, hiding in Pakistan for last 27 years. Accused of the 1993 Mumbai blasts in which 257 people were killed. With Geeta, Mohan in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
A healthy man in his 30s contracted the infection 4.5 months after recovering from the disease. Researchers at the University of Hong Kong used genomic sequence analysis to conclude that he was infected by 2 different strains. Scientists say that people infected with COVID-19 develop an immune response system which protects them from contracting the virus again. But it remains unclear as to how long this immunity lasts. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization has warned against jumping to conclusions based on the case of one patient. Earlier this week, Dr. Kelvin Kai Wong To, Clinical Associate Professor at Hong Kong University, spoke to India Today, and this was his response to a question on the first documented instance of reinfection, sparking off fears that there could be many more cases where recovery doesn't mean immunity from all strains of COVID-19. Take a listen. Shifting focus to one of the biggest stories on COVID-19 front, the fear of reinfection. Hong Kong has reported the first case of COVID reinfection.
First of all, I don't think reinfection should cause a panic in the public. I believe that we found the first case of reinfection, and I believe there's probably more reinfections out in other places. But for example, in our case, the patient did not have any symptoms at all during the second infection. So one possibility is that patients who have the second infection may be milder than the first one. And so I think for the general public, we should not be panicking about this reinfection. But the importance of our finding is that we have to realize that patients who have recovered from COVID should not be thinking that they will never get infected again.
Welcome back to World Today. On Spotlight this week is Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, former Prime Minister of Malaysia, who waxes eloquent when it comes to the issue of Kashmir. But when I asked him what his stand was on treatment meted out to Kashmiris in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, he didn't have much to say. Unfortunately, that's the bias many carry on the issue of Kashmir. Take a look. This is the post-pandemic era, and changing dynamics across the world have thrown up a lot of new leaderships, a lot of new political turmoil. I'm being joined by Dr. Mahathir bin Mohamad from Malaysia, former Prime Minister, also someone who's had a remarkable history of being one of the most remarkable survivors in modern political history. Dr. Mohamad, many thanks for joining us here in India Today. But you have to go by what a country says. Now, Kashmir is an integral part of India. And why is it that you or your country, and when you were Prime Minister, did not respect that view of the Indian government?
No, from the very beginning, the question of Kashmir was not the same as that of Hyderabad and other parts of India. At that time, it was decided that Kashmir being claimed, Kashmir is the population is largely Muslim, but the Raja at that time was a Hindu. But the solution to that problem is to have areas which are under different countries, under Pakistan, under India, and then there is a neutral part, which is Kashmiri. So we should stick to what has been agreed. Because when you
how come, Dr. Mohamad, you've never questioned Pakistan in occupying the areas that are under Pakistan now, called Pakistan-occupied Kashmir? And how come you've never questioned how people of POK are being treated? How come you've not questioned how Pakistan has changed the demography of Gilgit-Baltistan, which is a part of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir? Why are those questions not raised when you discuss or raise the issue of Kashmir?
I found that the action by Pakistan has never been an issue internationally. But this move...
It has been. India has been raising it for a while. It has been. And nobody seems to care about Kashmiris on the other side of the border, occupied by Pakistan. Nobody seems to care about the kind of protests that we see in Gilgit-Baltistan time and again. And nobody seems to be bothered about the fact that demography has changed in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, given that Pakistan has allowed, unlike India, Pakistan has allowed its nationals to enter Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and own land and space in POK, which India never allowed.
Well, this is not a controversial international issue. We don't talk much. The whole world, not only Malaysia, but the whole world seems to have ignored what happened between Pakistan and Kashmir. But when we find that after such a long period, about 70 years, suddenly your armed forces went into and against the wishes of the people there. I don't know about whether the people involved with the Pakistan objected to what Pakistan has done. But so at this moment, what people talk about is the occupation of that part of Kashmir that was, well, neither under Pakistan nor under India.
But Dr. Mohamad, wouldn't you call that being selective? Because you're saying you only hear it. There are so many reports to suggest what Pakistan is doing, and nobody's hearing that. And also armed forces being in Kashmir. Look at the kind of cross-border terrorism India faces. What about that? How come nobody raises, or you don't raise the questions about cross-border terrorism, because of which we have so many soldiers sacrificing their lives, putting their lives at risk, and standing at the border to ensure that Pakistan does not keep sending infiltrators or terrorists from across the border?
Well, that is for you to resolve the problem with Pakistan. I mean, we cannot speak up for Pakistan or for India, but we do feel that when the Kashmiris lose their independence, more or less, then they complain against it. They make, the whole world seems to regard that this was not the right thing to do. So we respond to appeals by people who feel that they have been unfairly treated.
Right. Then I have a two-pronged question. One, if you're talking about speaking for the oppressed, then how come you don't speak for the Uyghurs in Xinjiang of China? Why is that not a concern? Because they're also minorities. They're Muslims who are impacted terribly by the Chinese administration.
Well, the government of this country feels that they should talk to the Chinese. They don't make it a big issue publicly, but I am sure that they are looking at this problem because we are not in a position to apply any pressure on China. We can't do that because they are a big trading partner for Malaysia. We need to maintain that good relation.
Dr. Mohamad, many thanks for joining us. Hoping you success in your political endeavors and the new political party that you intend to form. Many thanks for joining us here in India today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, Preeti Chaudhary here. Hope you like this video. For latest news and analysis, like and subscribe to the India Today YouTube channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated. Thank you for watching.